preview of what the market was like last Friday, NFP News Day. You know, I love news days. Volatility is our best friend, and news gives an excellent indication of what might happen. Well, quite bullish days. Important news regarding Tesla. Very interesting announcements and anything related to technology and the development of more artificial intelligence, which will consequently pull other companies along, such as Nvidia for their chips. Other companies for software development, like AMD, are also seen as quite bullish. The inflation issue has been improving constantly, so the market is looking more positive. We have been making quite a nice delivery of important zones. I am also a firm believer in the insiders who are always in the market before us, and well, there are certain ways to know when these kinds of news are breaking and when they are making their presence known. The way the price starts to move, so we had a very trending week. Especially then, getting into the matter with Friday, this indicative, this candle opened lower, the NFP news, because it was positive for the dollar index. Therefore, the Nasdaq, which has an inverse correlation, went down, but it went down and immediately reversed. I mean, it was tremendous. I've rarely seen the NFP make such an immediate reversal. It was ridiculous. And the nice thing is that it came around here. And this flip, this change of structure, if we take this opening candle from the day after the holiday we had, this came. I could perhaps take this like this more refined, but anyway, that's where the change happened. I opened the market that day, or it dropped hard here. I swiped all of this, and it started to go. So it was very nice to see the reaction from there. You know, I've told you that the news is an excellent indicator of market direction, and I patiently waited. I don't remember if I took a short around here when the market was rising, but from here, I took the aggressive long. Honestly, unfortunately, I didn't leave a runner because it wasn't the market open yet. I don't like having trades open long before the market open, but this trade was really nice. So 50% of this I descended hiding the news spike. You already know that I usually take that as the first zone when the price is returning to the new zone. But I already had a bullish idea because the news came out bearish and hit this flip. We are making a support from the all-time high. This is indeed basic, a resistance that turns into support, and it happens very frequently when it's with the all-time high. So we were working from that. And from there, all this upward pattern starts to happen. This high is taken out here, retraces to its 30%, and the price starts to go. The opening happens, and we're set. The price fails to set a new high. What happens when there's a failure? All the small moves the price has been making around here can be swept away to then form the complete pattern. So I was waiting here for the switch to touch the 50%. Unfortunately, it didn't. So I had to wait until later to find another way to join the moves. Then it made a double bottom, which continued the movement. Well, we have this Yes, the price didn't come back later. We have here the person responsible for this area for a minute, who would be within the entire NFP area. But since I work with the data wick individually, I take the area that generated the price here internally. A structural change reaches 50. The person responsible, who was within the 50 of the swing area, gives us a flip from there, and the price goes again. So quite a trending day. This entire journey was very manageable with simply the structures, the areas. And here comes the interesting part again. Responsible, I think it was the 30th. This also didn't manage to touch the 30th. It was going with the responsible ones. You know that trendy markets, the first thing to touch is the responsible one, because it is the first door to enter a swing area. On trending days like these, observe how any price action favoring the trend works. Rejections, retracements, specific areas, or price flips influence the movement. But what happens next? When the price stops constantly distributing, making clear pullbacks, distribution, clear pullbacks, distribution, and starts to hesitate and consolidate, staying in a range, then the topic of imbalances comes up. I like to look at it a lot. There was also an imbalance here, in fact, when we reached this pullback at the opening, as I remember. This whole imbalance. But when the price takes so long to do something and starts giving me these pullbacks, the first thing I look at is, depending on the time we've been here, we will have closed candles of a higher time frame. Therefore, we will have created an imbalance. In this case, there was a 15-minute one, which is like my tiger time frame always. And here everything forms pretty nicely. What does the price do here? You took out the logo because of structure, a 1-minute structure. So we have this logo. This logo doesn't manage to close the body, I think. It closed that doji by 1 tick. This is not something I would consider, especially after touching this imbalance. When I see the price start to fall like this, it crosses the first fractal, giving nothing from it. It crosses 50% of the responsible swing zone. It crosses all of that. I already start to consider that it will go to fill that imbalance. That's when you look at a higher time frame, which happens a lot in 1 minute. You'll also see many times how the price goes up in 1 minute and then reaches a point where it starts to stall, thinking. Then suddenly it fits quickly, rises to those lows, touches the imbalance that remained here and then goes away again. So the same thing is happening here in those 15 minutes. And the first thing I always see is the 50%. So that is where I consider my stop point, my target. Nothing like just walking in. And it's there. That's another thing about ICT. I don't want to get it into their heads, because you have to understand it to apply it, so it gets a touch of that. But the price starts to mitigate in this area, which would be responsible for taking the low. Then there, it starts a consolidation. It fails twice to break it. Therefore it comes and takes the low, because a double top is generated. It comes and takes the low, but it does so with rejection. And if we now have rejection We have a double bottom. And the double bottom must go to take what? The high of all this displacement law. It takes it perfectly, but we are still within the responsible. So we can have the possibility of a double top tap. Is it still responsible? Of course, yes. So I wait, because if I'm looking for buys by breaking that area for the confirmation of a change of order, it breaks it. Now I have the responsible to break that responsible, and the price goes. Once it breaks that area that is holding the price, look how the price starts to go, and that's it. We have a new swing. We have a new zone. The price comes back here in the afternoon. Tries from the full swing area to give a boost again, but reaches this area responsible for taking this out and giving all this movement that took all this. This is what that last counter movement. Additionally, the moment we left, it came back to her and validated it by order. And then this boost tries to give us a new high from the swing area. From this entire area, the complete area, I have a new hike, my previous hike, lowest point. So from the lowest point, between those two hikes, to my previous hike, I mark the zone. Let me show other things. Ready? Then I have the area there. I tried to give myself the impulse, but it reached this additional responsible to an area validated by order flow and makes a double top. So what's the target of the double top? This, but it takes me out with a body. What can I deduce from this? And that they haven't made a rejection? That it might be going to look for 50% of the swing area. So if before touching the 50%, it makes a pullback to what would now come as a responsible. If I can take out this low, I can consider going short because I have a magnet. What is my magnet? That 50%. Once it gets there, I can exit the trade here. I remember this trade too. So here we had a double top, and here, what happens? Sweep within a responsible person to the first tap that didn't hit 50%, almost hit it. I placed a limit order. I didn't catch all the points to be honest, but it was a very precise scalp. Now what? It takes me to the low, because it's making what? A double top. Price left the responsible point, came back to it, continued. It arrived, swiped the tap, forming a double top. What's the purpose? Continue. Take out the low, but it fails. Then what happens? That we have one more mitigation. He tries to show me if there are enough remaining sales there, but he doesn't do it and ends up breaking me. The one responsible stops protecting me. That responsible again. The same confirmation from here. We use it here. I got the responsible one breaking a responsible one. And this was a responsible one for breaking this responsible one. And it's at 50% of the zone. And he's making the double bottom. And confirms again by order flow. And from that 50% of being responsible for breaking the responsible that he makes me, what is this? A flip returns to the flip 50% tap. Perfect. It goes away. Done. It's Friday. We've had a very bullish week. Every day we've come here bullish, bullish, bullish. Last minutes of the market. Rejection from the high. Double top tap from all-time highs. Out of nowhere. But we add all that up and assume on a Friday when that happens that they're going to close positions for those who don't want to stay over the weekend, worried something might happen. So, roughly, that was what happened. not coming back to an area like this. What happened here? The issue of imbalances? In this area, there are multiple parties responsible. This setback, there are responsible parties everywhere we can identify, just by zone, estimating roughly around 50%. Order flow here, change of order flow, flip. Here there was another flip. The price took out the high of this candle. It took it out, retraced quickly, took off immediately, so the flip ended from that 50. Failure in function fulfillment, hence the overage is not that strong. Change of order flow confirmation. The day had a bit of everything. It was quite nice, and finally these shorts are very easy when they happen. A week like that, on Friday in the last 10 minutes, if the price hasn't made a considerable pullback during the day, and we're at the extreme of the weekly candle in the final minutes, this is a very easy trade on Fridays, so guaranteed. So anyway, this will be a brief review that I wanted to do about the day. I hope you're all well and that you find it useful. Goodbye.